It is the fifth engagement of this season's P&C Broadway in Kansas City tour. We are so excited to have Hamilton back at the Music Hall. And what's more exciting than having Hamilton, a worldwide famous musical at the Music Hall, but having somebody from Kansas City in the show as well. It is my pleasure to welcome Miriam Ali here with us. Hailing from Lee Summit, Missouri, in one of the touring groups of the biggest musical almost of all time, we could say. Miriam, thank you for joining us this morning. Tell us a little bit about who you play in Hamilton and maybe how you got to this role, because what an incredible role to be able to play.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat today. Um, I am woman one in the ensemble, and I also cover Peggy Schuyler and Mariah Reynolds. So that's really, really fun to be able to jump into that from time to time. But I'm on stage 8 times a week in my woman one track. And, I moved to the city when I was around, 18 years old, and I went to school for this. I went to the Institute for American Musical Theater, where I was training, every single day. Um, and I made my Broadway debut in Funny Girl, and then soon after that, I was kind of in and out of going in for the show. I went in for it for the first time while I was in school, and that was kind of a week-long process. Then I didn't hear anything. Then I got an availability check, but that's when I booked Funny Girl. So that was the path that I took. And then once we closed Funny Girl on Broadway, I went back in for the show after that. And it was another week-long process. And soon then I found out that I was going to be a part of this show. And, it was such a dream and goal of mine. As I loved the show so much. I saw it, for the first time on Disney Plus, and I was like, this is so different from some of these other
Yeah.
shows. There's something, some kind of quality about it that is just different. And so
And
I've always, wanted to be a part of it.
yeah, and it was
And here
kind
I
of like
am.
a Broadway only audience got to experience Hamilton until that Disney Plus came out. And, of all the horrible things that happened during the pandemic, I still thank God that Lin-Manuel Miranda decided to drop that on Disney Plus in 2020. I mean,
Yes.
what an amazing option. I want to talk a little bit about when you get to play Peggy Schuyler and Maria Reynolds. What a shift in dynamic from Act One to Act Two. Um,
Yes.
how do you kind of go through intermission? Does something like play in your head that you have to come from this? You're kind of a funny, witty character in the beginning, and Peggy, to I mean, you're very seductive in the second part of the play. What happens at intermission that kind of shifts you from one character to the other?
One thing that does help is in the first act, I have a wig that is a bob, and so that kind of plays into the character. And then I get to wear actually my pixie haircut for Mariah Reynolds, and also my woman one track. Get to wear my real hair, and I think it's really empowering to have short hair, and so I kind of lean into that. But I think the material of the show and the lyrics and how it's set up on stage, really, the foundation of it kind of guides you. And so if I'm just present, in the moment, and leaning into, my power and strength, I think as long as I'm present with my scene partner, um, the material, because Lynn is a genius,
Mm-hmm.
kind of guides me through it. And I am a middle child, so I can kind of lean into that in the first act as this sister, and then yeah, just step into my strength and my inner strength and power for the second act. Um,
Yeah. No,
but
I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
it's fun. I feel like it's really empowering to wear, you know, my short haircut, and I yeah, I really utilize that.
Sure. No. Now this show really prioritizes diversity in the cast and bringing strength to that. Can you talk a little bit about the audition process that you went to land this touring role and how you got here? Because again, you said you were working on Funny Girl, trying to get into that before this all happened. So how did this process work for you, getting to land in the touring role of Hamilton?
Yeah. It's different for each person. There's no set way to get into it. But for me, I believe I was starting because I went to a 2-year conservatory. I believe it was the start of my second year that I got to audition for the casting director. He came to my school. If we got to audition at that time, we had a writers program. So if I got in front of the writers program, Peter Dunn, who was the casting director, was also coming to my school. So I was like, of course I'm going to. Um, and so I, sang some stuff. And about few weeks later, I got a request to submit some tapes via EcoCast. And so that was for some dance tapes, some singing stuff. And then soon after that, that's when I got an invited to this dance call. So that was a week-long process of singing and dancing and with the creatives. And then after that week, I didn't hear for 6 months.
Oh,
And then I got an availability check where they're like, "Hey, are you free? Could you go out on, any of the companies that we have for the show?" And of course, I'm like, "Yes, I'm still in school." But then I'm not even kidding, like, the next week is when I got a request to go audition for Funny Girl to become a temporary vacation swing. And in a matter of like 48, I went in for the audition on um, Friday and got a call that day that I was starting the next day.
oh
And
my
so then
goodness.
that's when my mind kind of shifted to I'm like, I'm making my Broadway debut in Funny Girl. This is gonna, I'm leaving school. I had like a month left. So then that's kind of where my mind was. Then, fast forward about 2 years later, after we closed the show, um, I then, I have agents now, thanks to my school. I didn't have agents when I booked Funny Girl, but I have agents now. Um, and I want to say, I can't remember the exact time frame, but 6 months to a year or so, then I got an email from my agent saying they were casting for a new, relaunch of the Angelica tour.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this seems right in my gut, in my heart. Went in, I saw some of the same casting directors. They're like, you have grown up. This is crazy. Um, Danced, did some singing, with creatives, with the wonderful team, and then about a week later, I got a call from my agents, and they're asking, if I'm interested. And then I sent in some more tapes for Peggy Schuyler and Mariah Reynolds. And then literally they sent me some notes. And then the next day I found out that I was going to be, at that time, I was Woman 2 and I cover Peggy Schuyler and Mariah Reynolds. But now I'm Woman 1 and I cover Peggy Schuyler and Mariah
Moving
Reynolds.
up in
So
the
a lot
world.
of hard work and patience,
Yeah, that's incredible. Having to wait that long, I think, and then everything happens so quickly, and then there's some more waiting involved before you get the notice. It's got to be eating at you every single day, knowing that it's out there, but you just have to be patient for it.
Yeah, I think it really helped that I was in school because, I always tell young artists that your training is, the most important. It helps you stay curious and, we never stop learning. Um, so I think it was helpful that, I'm like, okay, I just got a taste of what this could be like and now I'm um back at school. Obviously I'm still in the city, but I'd always kind of just be looking downtown dreaming that, maybe I'll be up on that stage one day. But yeah, it really helped that I was able to, go back to class. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of I was thinking about it some of those days. But then soon you kind of let that, my teacher would always say, you get yourself a little treat, post audition treat, and you move on and you keep going because this industry, it's not, if you're right or wrong. It's just if it's the right timing. And there's a lot of no's, but then there might be that yes. And what's important is that, you love what you do and you keep learning and keep creating. So and now I'm here.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it so much for you. I'm so excited for your journey. I'm so excited to see you here coming up on the stage at the Music Hall. Let's talk about that stage. What a unique setup for Hamilton. One of
Yeah.
the trickiest thing I see is the stage spins. For folks who haven't seen the musical, the stage spins. How hard is it to
Yes.
navigate if you're going from one side to the other, and then all of a sudden you're walking on solid ground? The next thing you know, oh, footing's not so
It's
solid
perfect.
underneath me anymore. What's that like?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have the turntable in rehearsal in the city when we had our 6 weeks before going off to Tech, the show in Fayetteville. Um, and there is a video of us getting on the first getting on the turntable for the first time. And it's like you can't stop your momentum. It's like, if you're about to get on what are those at the airport.
Oh, like the escalators or
You
the
just
moving walkways.
yes, the escalators, moving walkways, like you don't just like stop and you just kind of keep moving and like step with it. So like you're
Hmm.
not gonna like cross your foot going on, just like, in Schuyler Sisters, it's b- moving in different directions. And sometimes you go from one, turntable, one moving direction to the other. So it's all about not like stopping the momentum and kind of moving with it.
Yeah,
Um, but it took some time to get used to. I'm not gonna lie, it took some time to get used to.
yeah.
But, it's quite the visual. So it's
It's
pretty
so
cool.
incredibly neat to watch, and I think that's the other big thing about this show. There's the story, there's the music, but then there's the choreography. And I was just talking to somebody here about it's so different to watch it in person versus watching Disney Plus, because Disney Plus, you have forced perspective on what you're looking at any given point, right? But then when you
Yeah.
watch it from the stage, you see everything that's happening, and this choreography that is employed with this show. There's so many different stories that are told by that alone. As you're going through your movements, your role, do you think about those at all, or is there something that you specifically focus on as you are going out there as part of the ensemble?
No, I'm so glad that you brought that up because, as the ensemble, Andy Blankenbuehler, who is the choreographer, um, talks about how we're kind of, in shifting uh, characters and costumes. Obviously, we're in our parchment, but from one song to the next, we're going from my shot to Schuyler Sisters. Those are two different energies, viewpoints. My shot's a little gritty. There's more at stake for these people. Um, Schuyler Sisters, we describe that as, there's kind of this air of that these people carry around when they're um, walking around, walking around town. So it is. I definitely think about that, and it could even be in the same scene, in the same song.
Yeah.
But the choreo is, set up so beautifully for us to play into that, and bring, an individual perspective. Which is also what's so beautiful about this show is that it encourages you to lean into your individuality and your imperfections because none of these people are perfect.
Yeah.
And if we all were striving for that, then it would be very, you know, one one note, one color throughout the show. But it's like this, and that I know I keep using this analogy, but from my shot to Schuyler Sisters or Helpless Satisfied to then in the second act Quiet Uptown,
Mm.
these people are changing, growing up, going through challenges,
Yeah.
and the choreo, myself, going from number to number, it's all about staying present and not going on autopilot, because I know I keep saying this, but the material really sets that up for you, and it never there's something new that you can learn each night with it
Yeah.
if you're present.
Well, I feel like I could sit here and talk about these intricacies of the show with you for hours. I know you are a busy person. You're up in Wisconsin now. You got to get ready to come to Kansas City. But as you come back to town, do you have friends, family who are planning to come to the show? I mean, what's exciting about being able to bring this iconic musical back to your hometown here in Kansas City and to be a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a full circle moment. I grew up dancing at the music hall, um, and you know, having friends and family there, it's kind of it, so there's a lot of gratitude that fills my heart because all the support that I've had growing up with my training, and it just kind of is a beautiful representation that it does pay off. Um, and that was always me. I was like, if I can work really really hard, that's one thing I know I can control. Um, and now being back on the stage and in the city and getting to share it with friends and family means a lot. Um, and I'm excited to come.
Something in my life I can control. That sounds like something from Hamilton. How about that, huh?
I know I'm like, there's not a lot we can control, but if there's one thing I can is how I show up in a room and the energy that I bring and the work that I
Yeah.
put in to my craft. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to drop the word inimitable next, then I was going to be like just like blown away. So
You're like, I don't know about this.
no more, no more. But well, thank you so much for spending some time with us here this morning. I really appreciate it. We can't wait to see you on the stage here as Hamilton comes to the Music Hall. It's going to be playing February the 18th all the way through March the 1st. 16 performances. So make sure you go out there and check one of them out. I know tickets are in limited supply because, again, Miriam, everybody wants to come see this show. It is still one of the most popular shows on Broadway, and we just can't wait to see you back here in your hometown of Kansas City. And we're so proud of you and all of your success, and just can't wait to see what's next for you. And safe travels, and we'll see you back here in Kansas City really soon.